up, guys, and welcome to the Warlords of Draenor Fire Mage Raid Guide. At last, my favorite mage spec of all time. And let me tell you guys, in Warlords of Draenor, it's just as fun, and it's just as good, and it's even stronger than it was before, and especially at low levels, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But let's go through the talent system, the glyphs, the rotation for single target, for cleave, and of course for AoE. Now, let's get right into the talent system. The talent system for the Fire Mage, very, very simple. We're going to go through the first row. Again, now the first row with Scorch, guys, this now becomes a very interesting decision. You really have a lot of freedom here. Whatever you want. That's all I'm going to tell you. Whatever you want. There are fights where all will benefit you. Obviously, if you like ice flows, you know you're not going to move a whole lot in the fight. You know, having that ability to just have that backup, I can cast on the move, is always awesome. So it's really up to you. You can do whatever you want with it. Keep that in mind. But because of Scorch, it becomes less important which one you take in row 15. So it's probably going to become a fight-by-fight basis. The Ice Block difference is actually a really, really cool spell. I really enjoy that one. I've been playing around with that a little bit as well. So there are a lot of different scenarios that you can use some of these different spells. Even Blazing Speed, not all that bad on some instances. So take that in mind. Now our level 30 talents, let's go right through them. Again, guys, I really like Ice Barrier. I just think having that on-demand media absorb that costs a GCD is just better. I think it's stronger, and I think they made it that way for the reason, but I just think overall it's just better to have that mitigation when you need it. So keep that in mind. That's what I would go with here. Level 45. It's PvP, who cares? Pick Ring of Frost, move on. Alright, level 60. Now, this is where it gets a little bit fun. Do we want Cauterize? Do we want Greater Invis? Do we want Cold Snap? Fight-by-fight basis, guys. I can't help you any more than that. Greater Invis is great if you really need to get rid of some damage. It's a great way to go. If you want to, have that extra ice block, or if there's a debuff, or if there's a mechanic that you're trying to cheese, double ice block is always awesome to have, so keep that in mind. Now, lastly, Cauterize. Again, if you die, you don't really die. So, I've had Cauterize proc a lot. It's actually really, really awesome to know that, oh, I'm an idiot, I should have died right there, but I didn't, because I have Cauterize. I have my get out of jail free card. So, it's really up to you, no matter which way you want to go with that. Check that out. Level 75, this is really fun, guys. Guys, Unstable Magic, I don't like it. I don't. Living Bomb, extremely strong for AoE or cleave, and Blast Wave is disgusting for single target. Guys, the amount of damage that these adds take, that 100% damage increase, plus the quick burst, is amazing. Now the problem is we don't have that constant ticking damage, but that Blast Wave and then that Combustion, we can see some really, really high numbers. However, Living Bomb, if you guys are doing AoE fights, the explosion from Living Bomb is absolutely out of this world awesome. It is by far your #1 most damaging spell. I'll try to throw in the AoE section. Make sure you guys watch the AoE section carefully. I got to do some raid testing on that AoE boss fight last night. I don't remember the name of the guy, but you can see that my damage, when I went through the damage meters, Living Bomb's explosion was #1 by a freaking huge margin. It was just disgusting the amount of damage that Living Bomb's explosion was doing. So you're definitely going to want to use that for AoE. However, Blast Wave for single target all the time. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting, guys. Level 90 talents. They've changed mirror images a little bit since my last couple of guides, so we want to keep an eye on this. This is, I think, is going to be our most interesting talent row. No one's really taking Rune of Power right now for a mage, which makes me wonder if Blizzard is going to change it. The reason I say that is because there's not really a whole lot of fights where you're just going to stand in the same place. So if you're not going to stand in the same place, Rune of Power then, loses its value. I would be curious to see what would happen if they buffed it to 20%. Incanter's Flow. Amazing, amazing talent. It's just very, very good, so keep that in mind. The problem is with it is you do have that RNG aspect to worry about because it is moving up and moving down over a 10-second duration. Now, mirror images, guys. Right now it's doing a truck ton of damage, and it's up for a long time, and they hit very, very hard. It is really, really, really strong right now. So mirror images right now is what I'm using. I really, really like it. and I think that it's going to be really, really beneficial for us going forward. So keep that in mind. It's a nice little set it and forget it 3-minute cooldown. Really helps that DPS kind of stay up without that huge burst. I mean, you still get the huge burst with combustions, but now you also have that mirror image to kind of weave in there as well. So I really, really like that. As far as the level 100 talents go, very, very simple to deal with. What we're going to be working with here in the level 100s, okay, is kindling is amazing. Okay, so for pure single target fights, kindling is going to be outstanding. Fireball, Pyroblast, Inferno Blast, anytime we hit those buttons, we knock or anytime one of those crits, we knock a second off of our combustion cooldown. That's insane. That's insane, especially as our gear level gets higher, guys. Single target fights, this is going to be disgusting. We're going to be getting those meaty combustions all the damn time, and it's going to be outrageous. It's going to be so cool. I am super excited about it. Now, let's go into Prismatic Krystal. Prismatic Krystal right now is still double counting on the damage meters. On Scott and Recount, it's still counting your crystal damage on your damage, so be careful with that when you say it's really overpowered, because it's not. It is very good, and it does have some really cool benefits, and there are some really cool things you can do with fire because your Pyroblast and everything else. Just remember, you need Inferno Blast to spread that Prismatic Krystal damage to spread that combustion to your adds. So you really need to make sure that you're timing it right so that you don't lose that combustion on that crystal. It will devastate your DPS if you do that. So it's really going to take a little bit of play, but once you figure that place out, it actually can result in some pretty high net DPS. Now, the last one, Meteor, for AoE fights, there is nothing coming close to this. AoE fights, it is disgusting. It is so cool. It does take a second to land, kind of like Hand of Gul'dan for a Warlock, but it also has that flaming tick. So not only do you have the Flame Strike and the Glyph Dragon's Breath, but now you have that flaming tick of Meteor. Super, super great damage. Now, glyph-wise, let's get right into some glyphs. I really like combustion. I think, you know, especially with things like kindling, I think it's going to be really, really good. Now, there are fights, I'm assuming, where, you know, not having it glyphed will be a little bit better, but that big, meaty combustion is awesome. So far, I have not found a situation where I don't want that. Rapid displacement, having double blink, very, very good. Remember, you do sacrifice the stun for that, so be aware of that. Glyph of Inferno Blast, adding an additional target to spread your stuff to, especially for cleave fights where you're going to have 3 or more targets. Can be very, very beneficial there. You're going to see a lot more damage there. And then as far as your other glyphs go, I liked Dragon's Breath on some AoE fights. That was very, very good. The Ice Barrier one's okay. There's really not a whole lot for fire though, guys. Like, you're really going to be hard pressed to find a really, really great set of glyphs. So really, it's, you know, it's flavor based, and that's the way Blizzard wanted it, and that's what Blizzard has done. So keep that in mind. That per fight you might mess with a few things depending on your strat and your comp to really make those things shine a little bit, and it's not really going to affect your DPS at all, which is okay in my book. That's kind of what the point is to give your class a little bit more utility, which I really like. Miners, again, momentum is the only one that I care about. The rest of them are worthless, so you choose whatever you want. And now we can get into rotation quickly. So, single target rotation. If we're just purely single target, we want Blast Wave. I like mirror images personally right now, but we really want Blast Wave as a talent, and we want kindling. And what we're going to do is we're going to, you know, get that lust going, get that pot going, get everything going, pop out those big meaty combustions, and then slam, or those big meaty pyroblasts, slam a combustion into them, and it's just like the normal single target rotation. So we get our dot up, or so we're pre-casting pyroblast. Well, let's start at the top of the rotation, actually. Let's do this. So you're going to obviously pre-pot. If you're using mirror images, I would pop those. Then you start hard casting Pyroblast as the tank counts down, 3, 2, 1. Bam, the tank pulls, your Pyroblast hits, you get your living bomb up, you start spamming your Fireball until you get that heating up proc, you slam that out, and then you're just blasting those Pyroblasts right into the boss. Now, the thing that you do need to understand, guys, is because we don't have Alter Time, we're not going to get all those Pyros in a row. So make sure you have your Pyroblast and your heating up proc. So parentheses inside of parentheses. And then cast your Fireball, and then as your Fireball is being cast, hit your Pyroblast, and then spam it until it's done, pop a big meaty combustion, you're good to go. After that, you're just going to refresh your dots and, you know, deal with things as they come. Obviously, you guys know how to play fire, it's not that hard. You know, Pyroblast on instant proc is our priority, but we also like that heating up. Inferno Blast will proc that instantly, and then keep our dot up at all times. The trick is with Living Bomb, guys, is make sure that you refresh it 3 seconds or less because of the way that the explosion works and how much damage the explosion does. We need it to explode every time. If we're refreshing Living Bomb early, we are wasting a lot of DPS. If we need to move, we use Scorch, GG. Or if we took Ice Flows, we can just continue our normal rotation. Now, as far as cleave goes, again, we're going to do the same exact thing. Our cleave damage really is irrelevant. We're going to be doing literally the same exact thing. Because of the way that Inferno Blast works, it's going to spread all our stuff, and that's all you have to do. So you're just going to hit your main target, Inferno Blast your dots onto everything else, and just spam, spam, spam your DPS and your normal rotation. I still need to play around with a couple different things as they go live and as we get closer to live to really make sure that we're not pyroblasting every target to get some extra dots up, but because they took off Pyromaniac, or I'm sorry, the other debuff, that's what we really need to worry about. Now, AoE fights, really quickly. The big thing with AoE fights, and I'm going to try to include it right here, is some raid footage. You can do disgusting burst AoE. So not only do you have your combustion rolling, not only do you have Meteor rolling, not only do you have your Living Bomb exploding, but you also have Flame Strike ticking, and if you glyph Dragon's Breath, that actually hits pretty hard. Now, the nice thing about Dragon's Breath is it's not a cast time, so it's an instant, it's 1 GCD, you're good to go. Flame Strike does have a cast time, but it's got the after effect dot. Meteor has the impact, then the after effect dot. So as long as those ads aren't moving and your Living Bomb's exploding, you guys are going to do a ton of DPS. Make sure you're spreading that combustion around as much as humanly possible. Glyph and Inferno Blast, glyph in that Dragon's Breath, and then make sure you have Living Bomb. And you guys are going to do an absolute ton of AoE damage, and it is an absolutely incredible, incredible thing. When you see some of the just huge bursts that you can really do as a Fire Mage. You really can just own every scenario as a Fire Mage, and they didn't need to change that, and thank God Blizzard didn't. They really didn't change it. Now, I know I mentioned something real quick, guys, at the beginning of the video that I would discuss later, so here it is. I wanted to discuss with you really quick. There's a passive that they put into the Fire Tree. So every time you do not crit, you have a 5% greater chance to crit with your next spell. What this means for us is that at lower gear levels, you can actually play Fire now. If Fire is your favorite spec, you can actually play it and be viable because of the way that that works. Keep in mind, crit is still going to be our priority stat, and then haste, mastery, and multi-strike will, you know, we won't be able to really tell that until we get closer to live and actually in live to able to tell exactly what we want. But we always want crit, we always want haste, we always want mastery, and then on multi-target fights, how much multi-strike do we really want? Again, these are things that we will find out as the expansion rolls out and as we get into some of that gear. Now, just a quick preview of the tier pieces. Keep in mind the date of this video, guys, but the Fire tier pieces, that 4 set's disgusting. Keep an eye on that. If that doesn't change, Fire's going to be gross once you get your 4 set as a mage. You get that heating up proc, you get instant cast Pyroblast for 6 seconds. Imagine the combustions rate on that. You're just going to see some absolutely disgusting, disgusting burst out of Fire Mages if that stays live. I'm curious to see when we actually get to test that out. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your comments are in the comments below. Make sure that if you like this video, you show it some love. Maybe show it to a friend or everybody who you know. That would be cool too. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.